OK, listen, join me in a couple of minutes when we're going to meet some very more courageous people, this time women who have dared to bear all. Well, listen, we'll be hearing more about that just after the break. OK, welcome back. Now, if you're in the Sligo area on the 25th of this month and you happen to go to a beach, you're in for a big surprise. Right, will you please welcome my next three guests who will bravely bear all in the name of a good cancer charity. Founder of Dip in the Nip, Moira Garvey, along with fellow dippers Claire Cassidy and Moira Ivana Heenahan. Claire, I love you. You too. Moira Ivana. I know, yes. Now, Maura, could you explain, first of all, you started this whole thing.
I did.
Tell me how you started it.
It was an idea given to me from a visit to a psychic.
Ooh, yes. What were you doing going to see a psychic?
I was unemployed at the time, and a friend of mine, very level-headed guy, told me that this woman was very good, especially giving direction and stuff like that, so I figured nothing to lose, and I went, and she asked me about 10 minutes into the conversation, she said, I need to ask you a question and I hope you won't be offended. I said, fire ahead, I'm not easily offended, as Claire will know. And she said, do you like to swim naked? And I said, yes. And she said, oh good, because I see you and a whole bunch of other women naked in a large body of water.
Did she really say that?
She did, she really said, and I said, no way, because my skinny dipping at that stage was done at like 6 o'clock in the morning on the quietest beach I could find and making sure that nobody could see me. But she said, I see it. I said, that's not going to happen. And she said, well, I'm just telling you what I see. So when I was leaving her, I just had the bright idea, and I said, that would be a brilliant way to raise money for breast cancer. And the Dip in the Nip, well, the Dip in the Nip was born thanks to Jerry Ryan. It was just a skinny dip up until Jerry got a hold of it.
Tell us how Jerry got a hold of it. Lovely Jerry.
Lovely Jerry. Local journalist Paddy Clancy picked up on it, and he wrote about it, and the newspapers picked up on it.
Because you live in Sligo.
I live in Sligo, right. Yeah. And Jerry saw it, and I got a phone call in the morning saying, would you like to talk to Jerry Ryan about this skinny dip that you're organising? And I thought, Jerry Ryan talking about naked women, you know, I did have a moment of doubt, but I thought I couldn't not. So he kept referring to it as the Dip in the Nip because he had seen that title in a tabloid. I mightn't even have seen it, but the more I heard him say it, the more I liked it. And so we were chatting away, and he was brilliant. Now, I have to say, he was absolutely brilliant because he kept talking about what a great idea it was fun, it was a good news story amidst all the doom and gloom and all of that type of thing. And then he asked me, he says, but why naked, Maura? And that kind of stumped me. So I said, Jerry, have you ever skinny dipped? And he had, and he started talking about it. And I was just listening to him, and I thought, he's got it. He started talking about the sense of freedom, of liberation, of being at one with the world, and all of that. And he just went raving about it. And after the interview, and I hung up the phone, and that was about 9:15 in the morning, the phone did not stop until 2 o'clock that afternoon with women ringing, wanting to do the dip. And many of them were women who'd had single or double mastectomies and said, we'd really love to do this.
And you raise money, isn't it? Because then you sponsor people.
Everybody gets sponsored, yeah.
Now, this year, Ivana, it's dedicated to your mother, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Tell us why that is.
Well, my Aunt Caught, she's in the audience tonight, phoned my mum and said she had heard about this Dip in the Nip. And she said, I thought of you, Mona. And Mom said, right, OK, naked. OK, I'll do it if you do it. So, of course, because she was going to do it, I ended up been roped in to do it, and a friend of mine, Laura Brady, came along as well. So off we went to the beach, misty kind of a morning back in 2009, and I thought we were a little bit mental, I have to say. I can't believe we're doing this, Mom. But anyway, I'm so delighted because it was one of the most fun days I've ever had, and she just enjoyed herself so much and thought it was so wonderful that she volunteered to pose for the calendar. So,
and I think we have a picture of your mum. Now, your mum, obviously, she had cancer, didn't she?
She did, yeah. She was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2002. Her brother had had an aneurysm, and it was recommended that his family would be screened. And so it was, the good news is you don't have an aneurysm. Bad news is you've got cancer. So that's how they found it. It was actually quite by accident. So at that time she had chemo and had an operation which was quite grueling for her physically, but to be honest, she actually thought that it was the best thing that ever happened to her, because she decided, right, that's it, no more putting things on the long finger. Any opportunity that comes my way, I'm going to take it. And so the dip in the nip and posing naked, we're all part of that. Yeah, definitely.
And you didn't do it last year, was that your brother's wedding?
My brother was due to get married and he brought the wedding forward because my mum was actually diagnosed last January with a brain tumour that was quite aggressive, and she actually passed away in August. So we didn't actually get to do it last year. Yeah. So it's fantastic that we had the entire family home for the wedding and the entire family home for when she passed away in August, and now we have a skinny dip in her honour, so I'm sure she's delighted.
Delighted that it's in her name. Yeah. And Claire, the amazing thing about you is, when you started to do it, you were perfectly healthy, weren't you? But if it wasn't for it,
as far as I was concerned, yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't still be alive almost. Explain that to me.
Well, it mightn't have been diagnosed in time, but somebody close to me had been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she rang me one evening to tell me, and I went to work the next day, and I caught the tail end of Moira's conversation with Jerry Ryan. I only heard the end of it, and I just said, I rang her up and I said, you know, tea and sympathy's worth nothing. I go to do this, and I go to raise some money, and she said, no better person, off you go. So I went along anyway, and I suppose what surprised me was that there were other women there younger than me that had had mastectomies and had some forms of breast cancer. Sure, I never even bothered checking. So I left there thinking, So shortly afterwards, it was within 8 weeks of the dip, I've been fully diagnosed with breast cancer.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And you probably mightn't have thought, would you, of examining yourself so much as you're saying, if you hadn't gone
I never bothered. Never bothered. And then when I did find a lump, I said to myself, oh, it must be all in my head now because of after going to the dip. And, you know, so I went to the doctor, I said, it's probably nothing, like, because I'm after doing this dip in the nip thing, and maybe I'm just being paranoid.
Imagination, yeah.
No, off you go. So that was the very first dip. So then the second dip was right in the middle. I was just finished chemo and had a full mastectomy and a full auxiliary clearance. And so we went along for that. So this is the third one now, and now I have 2 brand new reconstructed ones after 2 mastectomies. And feel very safe and very happy with what I've had done.
And you're looking great in it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, she's like an ad. Seriously, that's fantastic.
One of the very important things I wanted to say was that the plastic surgery team in Mater Hospital, Mr. Richard Hansen, was the one who headed up my surgery. It was a really long, lengthy surgery with about 5 different procedures with different surgeons brought in. He coordinated the whole lot. I'm a public patient and I was never treated better the whole time I went in there. But nobody ever says that. You know, they only talk about, moan about the bad things that happen. But everybody from Mr. Hansen and his team through to the nursing staff and down to the people who give you your tea when you're going to bed. We're just brilliant.
It's the same as what Eamon said earlier about the staff, because one of the things that the DIP is giving money for this year is a scalp cooler to the oncology unit in Sligo.
So you don't lose your hair, is that?
Well, hopefully, at least minimise the hair loss. And particularly, I think, for women, particularly if they've lost a breast or even 2 breasts, for a lot of them then to be faced with losing their hair after it, it can be very traumatic. But the staff in there, and they're understaffed at the moment because of the cuts. I was in with them there a week before last, and 3 of them had put through 29 patients through the oncology unit from 11 until 4 that day. You know, and they were dead on their feet, but they're completely committed to what they're doing. And it's the same then, we're also funding a project over in Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Drogheda, and they're the same. And you just stand back and you're in awe at what these people
Yeah.
do every day.
But you know, it's just fantastic. But just to be humorous for a moment when we're being serious, like, you know that moment when you're on the beach and you take all your clothes off?
Yeah.
Jeez, I couldn't do that. Like, I mean...
And I was going to ask you
Oh,
if you
no.
knew the dip this year.
No.
Mary, it was like a big hen's party, wasn't it?
But like, is there a moment before you literally take off your clothes where you go, oh hell, and then you take it off and
No,
it's okay?
I think, no, at that stage, we're all so giddy. The
Yeah.
funniest, one of the funniest things that happened in the first year was because we did it in Lissadell, we got all of the women to come to Yates's Tavern up above and we bussed them down, and we had a couple of buses. And the bus drivers were guys, and they couldn't get off that beach fast enough once they had delivered all of the women. You know, they were terrified.
But do any men do it?
Last year, yeah.
We had about 30 last year. We're having more this year. But then there's an organisation that you know of, Blue September. I'm organising one for them in
I did
September.
a thing for them. Yeah, that's really good.
So
that's about male.
That's about male cancer.
Yeah.
So hopefully
That's
we'll
good.
we'll
You
get
could do it
more men.
together.
Well, I don't think Ireland is ready for a joint dip yet.
You never know.
You know, but I'm hoping for one.
And aren't
eventually.
your two teenage sons?
Well, the three of them have decided they're going now, 3 boys, yeah.
That's great.
They're 15, 13 and 10. And Mr. 15 is just can't wait to go. He just thinks it's brilliant. He says it's cool.
Men
yeah.
are usually shyer, and you hear a lot about shrinkage when you talk to
Oh,
men. You know?
typical
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
The three of them are already
absolutely,
slagging each other at home over that.
But listen, it's so nice it's going to be in your mother's
Yeah,
name.
I'm
It's a
delighted.
lovely memory
Yeah,
for
I'm
her.
really delighted.
And listen, I'm delighted because I know you from Twitter. I haven't met you
Absolutely, I
before,
know.
but it's great, Maura. And listen, to all three of you, I'm delighted you're so well. May you stay very healthy. It's lovely to be your mother. And well done and a great idea, Maura.
And it's still open for registration because it's not happening for another 2 weeks.
So if
June
somebody
25th.
wants to do it,
dipinthenip.eu. All the information is there.
Brilliant.
They can register. And
men and women.
Men and women.
Don't worry
men
about
and
the
women.
shrinkage.
Don't worry about the shrinkage.
Okay.
We're not looking.
Yeah,
We're not
okay, we're not looking.
We stay
Okay,
away from that, yeah.
Okay, listen, thank you all very much for coming.
Thanks,
It's my
Maura.
pleasure. You're great. You're lovely. Now, quickly before we end.